Welcome back to the Wonderful Walks in Golf podcast, where we walk you through the industry's untold stories, brand reviews, history lessons, and swing lessons from industry legends to those fresh on the scene. We'll carry you through the world of golf, so you grab your bag, strap up, and enjoy the walk. All right, we're live in the RGV 2.0.
Yeah, live.
This is awesome. An RV to travel the world and play golf, I think, is every golf nut's dream. And Patrick's doing it for a second time now with an even grander scale of raising money for awesome first tee organizations across the country and local chapters. So, Patrick, pumped to have the conversation with you, man. How's the last 3 days been in getting the journey going here in Palm Springs?
Well, we're like a week in, so this is the first official podcast. I've been so busy with people and friends and planning and where's my toothpaste? I'm living in another box again for a year. So there's kind of getting settled. It's like a new home. You're still moving in. You don't know where anything is. And I have so many things going on that the cadence is kind of but it's I've been blown away and overwhelmed already by the amount of cool people, the amount of passion, support. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Tonight, we just had a great dinner. I gave a little chat, and then I just mentioned how I was raising money just to share my story. And then right up, some guy runs up and gives me $100. I'm like, this is great. This is great. Well, not me, but he's giving it to the first tee. 100% of the donation goes to the first tee. That's the thing that I think is key. That just like the first one, I spent I think $60,000 on the first one. This one I've got a company called Golf Gamebook that's supporting the mission, and so they're footing the bill in hopes that you'll follow along in the Golf Gamebook app, and it's great. And so I obviously do that, but I'm not making any money. I said I'll do it for the experience. Don't just cover the cost. I'm all in. I'm not asking for a chunk of change. I want to get a chunk of change to the first tee and help it in places that need it. So we'll do local charities too. So when we're in Florida, there may be something first tee chapter, another youth organization that will hook them up. And I can just keep talking if you want.
Well, I love it, and I think one of the things you mentioned, which I think is just incredible about the 2.0, there was a 1.0 where you bootstrapped it, and it wasn't the Golf Gamebook involved, and it was kind of just you going out and saying, I have this mission and this idea to raise 20,000, or originally 10,000.
Yeah, it was 10,000.
You did raise 20. Now you've got your goal set on something a little higher. What was the reception of the original 1.0 and why so high on the second time around to really push forward?
It was it's round number, so I think why not get crazy and set a ambitious goal, and I think why not? I think we're gonna raise a lot of money either way, and that's a really that's crazy to me. If we do that, I'll be like, that's insane.
Well,
that's
I think
insane.
The reception we had here tonight with just a bunch of folks who love playing golf. We're here in Palm Springs for Palm Springs Amateur with fun golf vacations, net divisions, gross divisions, folks from 70, 80 years old even down to mid-20s playing in the same event. I think is really unique, and it showcased how many people just love to get together and play golf for the love of the game.
Yeah, absolutely there.
Golf breaks down barriers like no other. It breaks down every single barrier, just blasts it. It's all about hitting a ball around in the field, and everybody, and then everything else is race, class, sex, ability. It doesn't matter. It literally, and you can go out and you can have fun. You can commiserate and celebrate together, and it's a great way to get to meet somebody, feel their pain, and it's just you go to battle together, and you come out, you're like homies, and so it's you have that little experience. I get to experience it with I'm guessing I'll play with about 1,000 people this year.
Wow.
And I have that with 1,000 people, so it's that's a lot of connection and a lot of bringing people together and raising money. That it's a lot to get excited about, and that's it's going back to 1.0. I had no idea what I was getting into. Literally, I quit my job as a sales guy, and I was just I'm going to try to do golf course photography for a living. And this is kind of my jump off idea. I wanted to see the golf courses, and it turned into this really cool thing that I loved. And and I thought it had so much potential. Like it's just there is a lot of potential with this, and the only thing that bums me out is that like my bandwidth is like only so much. Like we could have a full video crew, we could have a Netflix, you just go on and on. Yeah. There's a lot you can do with this, and I'm gonna try my best to bring it and the experience of like what it's all about to as many people as possible over the next year. We're a week in, and I'm like, this is good. This is fun.
So with 2.0, when was your first like dispatch day? Like when did you start?
January 3rd. So what is today? It's like the
11th.
So we're 8 days. We're 8 days in.
Where'd you start?
Monarch Beach. Monarch Beach. So Monarch Beach was great because of the kickoff event. Those guys, it's a great golf course. It's fun. It's like got the vibes. It's got a couple holes on the ocean, and it's just on the street from my house. And so I'm like, well, there's no better place to kick off this party than Monarch Beach. And I was like, well, do we just play golf? It's like, no, of course we don't. We do play golf, but we did a water balloon blast, which is a throwback to something I did in I don't even know what year it was. Like a lifetime ago when I first started getting an Instagram following. I've been a slow grow. I've been around since the beginning, and I just kind of like trickle up little by little, whereas other people tend to blow up more. I've been a grinder, I guess. But the one thing that helped me was I hit a driver and people threw water balloons at me in slow motion. It was like, I don't know. People loved it.
Went a little viral.
Yeah, it went a little viral. And I was like, this is cool. And I kind of like when I learned the power of the internet for the first time. And so let's bring that back because it's such a fun thing to do and really embodies the whole idea of the RGV tour. It's recreational, it's golf, and we're in a vehicle, and we're having fun. Yeah. It's not serious. I mean, I'll play some tournaments. We'll keep score. We're playing by the rules. I'm holing all the putts. Got to find the bottom of the cup on every one of these golf courses.
I love that because you played with Trent the first day, and he mentioned that to us, right? And it's so easy when you're playing with your buddies or just whatever, just say, 2 inches, pick it up, right? And I think I love this about this whole RGV tour in general is you hole everything.
Yeah.
It's got to go in the bottom of the cup for it to count.
I like that idea too because, like you said, it's like, did I really play the hole? Trent was selling.
I don't want any questions.
And the other thing, I like the video that he posted too, where you were like, "Well, we're out here, we're playing serious, but we're not too serious." I thought that was hilarious. I was like, "That's perfect." And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take that same attitude to this week when I go out and play. And I was like, you know what? I'll try my hardest internally. But at the end of the day, I'm just going out here, meeting a bunch of buddies, and we're just gonna have one hell of a time.
Yeah, I mean that's the spirit of it. It's like serious fun, not serious business, and that goes a long way. Everybody, it kind of breaks down. It goes back to the barriers being broken down by golf. Like everybody identifies with what it's like to have fun, And so as golfers, we don't do enough of that. I don't think. Yeah. So that's where I'm coming in.
I love that.
So the goal is mainly raising money for the kids and for the first tee, but you're also trying to break a record, right? You said earlier.
Yes.
How many courses you're trying to play in 365 days?
500.
500. So obviously, the reason I'm asking is because I'm logistics by trade, and I'm geeking out of this. What do you have a strategy on how you're logistically going to work this out? Are you going? So you started in California, you made your way down to Palm Springs. And then are you going to work your way south and up and around as like the seasons start changing? Like what's the strategy here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different strategies because, I mean, you could set the record in California alone. So because there's so many golf courses. Yeah. But that doesn't seem awesome enough. Like I'm like, well, then just California gets the vibe. And I want to see all the different places. And then the people that are inviting me to come play and be a part of the record are not just in California. So I'm chasing the seasons is what I'm doing.
That's what I was thinking. Yes. In my mind, I said he's got to probably go from California, work his way to Arizona, then down through Texas, hit the Florida swing, work his way back up as we're getting into April, March, all the way up, and then work his way back around like in like late July, August into like the Montanas.
Well, because what I'm thinking is that's it. You got to see the Midwest at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely. So I did this 1.0, and that's the move. I started in Seattle last time and came down and went down to Florida, up, and then back down. But what I found that I didn't get was like it was late fall and it was like cold, and in Colorado it was like it snowed one time, and like I'm there too late, and I wanted to, like I didn't have enough time, and like Nebraska is where I want to go. Like Nebraska to me is like just built for the RV, and there's a little course called Sand Hills there. I've had a couple I had one member and several other people say that they could make it happen for me. So I'm fairly confident that I can see that golf course. And then it brings me through the Midwest in spring and beautiful and probably some weather, but that's going to happen. So I get to see a little bit different. I couldn't just do the same route. So I'm going down to Florida, then I go to Nebraska, then back down to like South Carolina, then up to Maine, and then down through the Midwest again, and like push far as Utah.
Kind of like
and let the weather push me south.
Like a little Z, like up and back.
Yeah, I'm basically the Zorro of golf.
Right there, right. That's kind of cool. Now I'm picturing in my mind. I'm like thinking old school here. Do you have like a map that you're just pinning and just drawing like the yarn?
I haven't got. So I've got a spreadsheet that is kind of like my Bible. And it keeps all of it's backed up, of course, you can't lose the Bible. But so everybody that sends me a stop request, it's on my website. They can send me a stop request. It comes to me, and then I read and respond to every single one by hand. I don't copy and paste this stuff, because it's like those are the people that I may play golf with, and these people are the people that took the time to say, hey, we want in, and those people are awesome. And so I want to come and see every single one of them. I don't think I can because I've gotten a lot of requests so far, which is a good problem to have, and that kind of bumps me out. But we'll see a lot of them. We'll see a lot of them. And so I've got each state where I get there and I'm like, all right, and I'll sit down, hopefully a couple weeks out. And I'm going to try to stay ahead of it. I'm about a month out now planned. And so I'm going to, golf a tee time, book a tee time. And so I'll reach out to those people, and I got my state, and I'll just hammer it all down and start sending out those sort of things. So most people, if you're listening and you sent me something and I responded, you're on the list, and we're gonna dial in those plans to play when it becomes time, when it's a little more reasonable, because people don't know, like, what are you doing September 12th? I don't know. But
well, and that's the way I know you made mention yesterday too. You like to keep days open because if you're playing with somebody and someone else says, "Well, I can get you on a top 100 or maybe Pine Valley," I don't know. You like to keep something open, a little flexibility. That way, you've got options of where you want to go.
Yeah, I'm available to play all those places you just mentioned. But yeah, the flexibility is the fun part because it's like you show up, you make a new friend, and you're like, I really like this dude. Or this gal or this group of guys, and they were like, hey, let's go do this, and then that's where the action is, because you're like, oh yeah, I want to say yes to everything, which has been my problem in the past. I can't say no, and so it's all about saying yes. Hopefully I can say yes to just about everything. And I mean, looking back at 1.0, this could be a story of the times I said yes to something that wasn't planned until that day. And I could just tell you stories and stories.
Sure.
And those are the ones I remember. And so I'm like, I want more of that. After having 4-5 years to like think back, I always look back at it with like, man, that was the time of my life. And it was so interesting. I learned so much. And I was like, I'm back for more. I'm back for more. Why not?
Well, speak to 2.0 and the partnership with Golf Gamebook. You're in a brand new RV, which is awesome. The outside looks incredible.
Yeah.
Talk us through the rig. What's the expectations of settling in now that you're 8 or 9 days in? When do you settle in, or do you ever?
You never do. So the first thing about RVs, and anybody who owns an RV will know this, that there's never anytime that you own an RV where something isn't broken. There will always be something broken in your house, and sometimes it's significant. Like I bought this thing, and then like I just assumed that the water pump would be working, so I didn't have water for like the first couple of days. We had to hire like a Paul is awesome. He came out and he fixed the water pump. It's like you got to coordinate. Like, Paul, I'm going to be at the bridges at Rancho Santa Fe. Can you come in like this time and like fix the water pump?
Yeah.
Like it's like you're like a MacGyver, and it's a lot of stuff. So like, people don't see that. They see the 3 photos I posted of the bridges at Rancho Santa Fe today, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, no, there was a lot of stuff going on that day, but it was also a lot of awesome stuff. The rig is great, and it's kind of like a boat. That you're happy when you buy it, you're happy when you sell it, but you love it when you're living in it, and so. It's a changing thing right now. The memories are all good and fresh, and maybe we'll get some stick. I don't know if we're gonna like decorate the whole thing in here.
I hope you do.
We could just go ham on it. But Golf Gamebook they're my partner, and they're not sure what we're gonna do with this thing when it's done. They're like, maybe we'll put it in a museum. I was like, well, I mean, like next to the Mona Lisa. I don't know.
Hang it in the Louvre.
Yeah, hang it in the Louvre. People are like, what the hell? No, so I don't know. That may be getting a little carried away, but a lot of this stuff is like, I think it's going to maintain its value, and so we'll see what happens as the tour rolls on. But it's got Netflix in here, which is huge. Like so it's like the difference between 1.0. I didn't have internet. I just would like go to Starbucks if I wanted to do something.
Bum some Wi-Fi for a little.
I was like a Wi-Fi and like a electric hound. Like, because electricity, people just plug stuff in and they're like, oh, it works. And it's like, no, you don't. I have to charge all this stuff. I have more gadgets this time around, better equipment, but I also have to charge more stuff. But I'm also better at like knowing what electricity demands you need. Like, it's a lot of balancing stuff that people don't realize. Like, you have to understand, like, what am I going to do tomorrow with my equipment? Am I going to fly drones? Do I need to charge my drone battery? Do I need to find shore power that evening, or can I run generator? What are my electrical demands for that evening? In terms of like, then I have to know about my propane. I need to stop get propane. Like, how's my heat? There's just a lot of things that you're like managing your
as
home.
you're trying to play 36 holes of golf.
Yeah, 36
a day ish,
and then
Some
edit all
days.
the photos.
Yeah.
Create hilarious and engaging social content. So like, I fall short some days, but I do my best, and it's fun because I love it. So it's like I don't mind just never stopping working.
Well, I think you have to love it if you're setting out a mission to play that much golf throughout the year, and then B, to set a goal so high to raise the amount of money you are. And I think it both speaks volumes, by themselves, but together is incredible. So, where can people find you on social media to support, and what's the best way to get involved with the tour?
Yeah, it's my website's got a kind of links to everything. It's my Instagram handle. It's where I have my biggest following is on Instagram, PJKoenig. .com, and it's got the bios there. It's still new, so like I haven't even got my blog piece up, where you can read about what the kickoff was like. Where I'm obviously going to write something for Eric and the gang here at the Palm Springs Amateur. This was such a cool thing, and so that'll be my next piece that I put up there. And so people that are following and have been reading my blog, they kind of know what to expect. I'll be doing that similar content that I love to do, but it does take some time. It's like, so 18 whole days are like days off, honestly. And today was an 18-hole day off, but I felt like I had no time.
So in those 18-hole days, you're trying to get off like first tee time. That way you're back by 10 a.m. and then you just have the rest of the day.
So I'm loving the early morning tee time.
They're great.
Yeah.
Because we go back and forth.
Yeah, you can get done early. You're not going to run into slow play. You can get another 18 if you want, or you can come back to the rig and hammer out some details, responding to emails and coordinating the route, or driving 3-4 hours to your next golf course or next area, so you can be ready to fire it up. Each day is like a puzzle to solve.
So I know there's 365 days in the calendar year. You're trying to do 500. Obviously, there's going to be a few days where you're playing 36, maybe even more. So I guess your best strategy, which I'm assuming is you're going to go to courses like PGA West, where there's a course 1 and 2 literally on the same property.
Yeah, those are good. I mean, Palm Springs is basically just a big mess. It's
a golf mecca in the middle of nowhere.
It's like God just sprinkled dust and then it just fell into
God's
golf
crater.
courses.
Yeah, you can just throw anywhere you go. There's golf courses. So 36 a day it's actually more difficult because golf's so popular now, and this is the best place. You look at the tee sheet at like Firecliff. It's like a month out.
Well, that's what we were saying, because when Eric sent out the email in regards to practice rounds, he goes, hey, you guys got to get in if you want a practice round. And, we were texting back and forth, and we realized, this is a week away.
Yeah.
And we're going on Google Maps, Golf Now, looking at everything just to find a reasonable time for us to play. And it was quite a bit of research.
We had to hodgepodge it together.
It was like last minute, like, texting back and forth. I was like, whatever you're doing work-wise, stop it so we can figure this out.
He's like, I need your full attention for the next 10 minutes so we can make this tee time. And that was just one tee time, let alone traveling across the country.
So I have to have, when it's all said and done, hopefully there's 500 tee times that have been booked and then executed upon. I canceled a couple today because things got moved around, and I was like, oh, but I'm coming back to this area next. Like I'll be back in probably like November, December-ish.
Cool.
I don't know where I'm going to set the record yet. So it'll be so exciting, so far away, and I've already put so much energy into it that I could tell you when I get there, it's going to be, I don't know, I may have break down and cry or like just punch my caddy in the face or punch a stranger in the face. Who knows? Even if I'll have a caddy, maybe how many limbs will I've had? And I mean, these are all unanswerable questions.
I think I know how Patrick should break the record by himself. It sounds like someone's gonna get punched.
Whoever's next to me is getting taken out.
You're sounding like me right now.
In a fury of joy. But it's when that's what life's about, right? It's like listen to Tiger Woods talk. It's like you kind of got to earn it, and there's no glory without the struggle. It really isn't. Like if stuff comes easy, it doesn't pay off. Like, and it really is there's the old cliche. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Like everybody thinks that's true, and everybody's heard it. But people that really haven't had like a destination, and I didn't personally until like you live it, and you're like, now I feel it. I truly understand what that's all about. And I live my life that way, that it's about, and make decisions to do this again because I know it's about the journey. And so I want the journey. Like the destination will be great. But that's just one part of the journey. It's just one moment in time. And then it's over. It's like, it sucks because you're like, journey's done.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now there's this void. And I remember that on 1.0 when I hold the putt, it was at Bandon Trails, and I'm walking back to the RGV, and it was over. I was by myself, and I was like, something just left me, and it was like this void, and I was sad, and it was like empty, because I knew that that part of my life was over, and there was, I found a way to move on, as you do, but there was a moment where that passion and purpose had left, and I don't know. I mean, so who knows what that will feel like in course 450. Like then I'm done, but I poured all the stuff into it. Now, well, the good news is I played the bridges, and my man Pedro, I'm going to send him this podcast so he can listen to this. He told me that he's like, I've known this guy for like 2 holes, and he's like, we're going to Cabo to celebrate when you're done. And I was like, deal.
Shout out Pedro.
we put it on the books.
Nice.
So he was very generous with his donation to the first tee, and very generous with his invitation to Cabo, and so it's on the calendar.
I love it.
We're going to Cabo when this thing's done. So that's a nice out. Hopefully everything goes, generally as planned, and we make it there, and we're smiling on a beach. But it'll be a cool rally and a cool finish.
I think that's the crazy part about like setting outlandish goals is like whether it's something small that's outlandish or something as massive as this undertaking is, people get excited when you set out outlandish goals because they're like, man, if he's doing that, what can I do?
Yeah.
And I think whether it's raising money or playing this much golf or just living in an RV for a whole year, pretty much. It's like people are like, man, that's actually possible. This guy's doing it. What can I do if he's setting out and accomplishing this? And that's really cool to see people getting on board with the overall idea and excited to celebrate already. And you're only 8 days in.
Yeah. It really is. We're talking about the end now, but like the middle is the fun stuff, and so and it's days like this. This was a great day. Some golf, some dinner, a pod, but the excitement level is cool. Like somebody sent me an email the other day, and it was like, I got a little more excited than I probably should have when I saw that 2.0 was getting fired up. So I wonder what that reaction is like when he read a tweet or saw an Instagram post. He jump up and down and like fist pump. Like that's fucking cool. Like
I know I did. Like I read the original blog from RGV 1 and was like, man, that was cool, right? Like. But will anyone ever do like that again, or will he do it again?
Yeah.
And then when I saw like rumblings of like, oh, I think he's doing it again, like I was like, let's go, like that's exciting.
That's
like
cool.
The 1.0 pump like fired me up, and then seeing like Matt Cardis do what he does and travel the world in the van, it's like guys like that and guys like you are just like inspiring us, especially to like just see what's out there in the golf world, and like we can all say, hey, you know what? why don't we travel maybe for 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Let's all rent an RV and go do a buddy's trip around the country or something like that, right? Not to the scale you're doing it, because it's impressive. But
people tell me about this and like, I wanted to kill that dude after like 2 weeks. So it's kind of why I'm like on my own. I'll have my friends come and I was like, all right, you can leave now. I'm going to go on. But it works good like that.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I can do it. And I'm kind of a loner, sort of. It fits my personality a bit. And it just is, it's good like that, having people come in and go, and the excitement they bring. And people bring the energy, man.
Believe it.
If it was just me playing the 100 greatest golf courses like by myself, obviously I'd do it, you know. But like honestly, I'd probably just rather play golf courses with really great people, and because then you're like excited, you're having fun. But who says you can't play the top 100 golf courses with the top 100 greatest people?
Right.
Why not? Just go do it. That's America for you. And
push the limits, right?
Yeah. We live in a great country where we're like,
We do.
you know, you go and travel and like, you know, everybody complains about these problems that America has, and certainly there's a ton of them. But then you go to another country and you're like, oh, there's a lot of things that take for granted.
Those problems aren't too bad.
Yeah. Some countries more than others, but you come back, oh, I miss this. Like, we literally have the opportunity to create whatever we want as a business, live our life however we want to, and go pursue our passions. And that is the most important thing that America gives, and that's why. But we are going to Finland and Sweden. I don't know if I didn't tell you guys that. It just happened. The flights are booked. Golf Gamebook is a Finnish company.
Okay.
And they're like, well, when you're on the East Coast, why don't you come on over in the summer and we'll do, because it doesn't get dark there till like midnight. So we can just golf.
That's awesome.
So we can
Run
just
it
golf
all day long.
Yeah. So they're like, you know, those guys are just so awesome. You know, it's like, it's one thing to say, oh, we've got a sponsorship or a partnership. It's not that. Like Timu and I worked on this thing. Like, he had the ideas just as much as me. I mean, he's a co-creator of this 2.0.
Sweet.
And so we were like, I mean, we're like best buds, chatting every single day for like a couple months before this thing launched, and to kind of get all the organization structure, how we're going to operate this from like a budgetary and, you know, tax, there's all sorts of stuff to think about when you're doing this stuff. And then Miko, the CEO over there, is just like this kind of silent, powerful leader type that kind of comes in and says something like, that's awesome, that's rad, you know, because it's a good vibe. You know, I really enjoy them. They enjoy me, which, I mean, I say that because they told me that, and I was incredibly excited for it. It's like, man, I don't want to bring in people that I don't like, right? And I've got the best people already involved, and so I know we're set up good, which is half the battle. Because if you hated your sponsorship, or it was a big corporate giant, it's going to have like, here's your guidelines for this, and it's just so rigid. This is not that.
Yeah, you'd be fighting the inevitable of like something not working along the way, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, we want this and do this, and like you're arguing over hashtags or something stupid. And it's like, no, they're like, we bought it because you bought in this idea because it's you, and we like your style, your weight. So like, do it, and we're gonna help.
That's awesome.
And so it makes me want to help them and do more. So it's like, when people work together real well, it works out better for both people than when they argue about stuff that's maybe much smaller. So
Ticky-tacky little stuff. Well, people can follow you on Golf Gamebook as you record your rounds, right?
Yeah.
They can download the app and actually log in and say, hey, what's Patrick doing today? Where's he playing? How's he playing?
Yeah.
Right? So encourage people to go download Golf Gamebook and follow Patrick along in journey and see how he's playing in maybe your course or your area.
Yeah, that's the cool thing, because it is, it's good, it's fun. Like, one of my buddies is in tech, and a lot of his companies just end up getting bought by like Facebook and Google, so I think he knows what he's doing, or maybe not. But he sent me a message the other day, and he was like, dude, this is actually really fun to follow along. You know, he gets notified, and if I every day kind of looking Koenig doubled 12, what an idiot. And he said it's fun, and so I've had fun with it too. It's great to have a log of all my scores, but it's like I'm putting exclusive content in there every day, and then it's great. We're gonna we'll have some events along the way, which is a whole other thing. It's another thing I gotta do. Some events where it's great tournament software. I mean, it's like a little golf party.
Really
it's
cool.
kind of encapsulated, so it runs all of the scoring. You just update your stuff in there, kind of like people here in the States are feeling it's like a golf Genius or whatever you might be using. It does that, but then it also does like a little social feed. So for the kickoff, we were all like, we can go back in there like, oh, what happened in the kickoff? And here's all these videos and photos, and like people were like commenting on it, like as it was pouring down rain. So it was like some people were like, I'm going in. I was like, that's fine, but I'm finishing, and it was fun. It was kind of like this little bubble stuff. So it's like it's a great app that is getting better because I can tell them, I'm like, guys, this stinks. And I haven't had to, but like, or wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And like, they go and they do it. It's a cool thing. So like, it's going to get better. It's already pretty good, and I'd say, I mean, download it, and
Love
you
it.
can use it as a GPS and a scorekeeper yourself. You know?
I'm in there. I haven't used it yet, but I've got it on the phone.
Yep.
I've subscribed to watch him along the way, so we've at least got that step. I haven't
We'll
gone into it any deeper, but
we'll have to be friends too, because there's followers and friends of two different things.
okay.
And then I get notifications, and you'll be like, Koenig, I'm watching what you're doing. You know?
That's
Ooh.
scary.
Keep it on top of your score.
Yeah,
Oh boy,
you make some triples. You're
the
gonna
pressure just got reversed
Yeah,
real
sure
quick.
did,
You're
didn't
gonna
it?
hear about it.
All right. Well,
So
fair.
what's the next stop after Palm Springs?
It's gonna be Phoenix. It's gonna be
Nice.
Arizona. I'm gonna
Nice.
get down to Tucson.
Okay.
Because I've never been to Tucson.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go there. So there's not many cities in the United States I haven't been to after 1.0, but I'm gonna clear that right up. And
As you should, with a second time around.
Hey, I would
See
too.
the unseen.
yeah, there's a guy that didn't work out reached out to me last night. Like, this needs to be remedied. So hopefully we make it to, where was that? Lexington, maybe, in Kentucky. Kentucky's kind of a tough golf state.
Yeah.
I think. I haven't done much golfing in Kentucky.
There's some dope spots in like Louisville, or they say Louisville. I say Louisville, but that's they'll yell at you for that.
Louisville.
Is that going to get us into a social media argument
It
right
might-
there?
it might
Louisville
be.
versus Louisville.
Yeah, you don't say Louisville. It's Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah,
I
that's
played
okay.
some public tracks out, like just outside the city and so within the city. It's. I feel like it's actually underrated golf. How good it is.
Really?
Yes.
Well, then I'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
definitely have to check
All
it
of a
check
sudden, the
that out.
radar's like, maybe
That's
I
just
got to
one
check
part of
that
the-
out.
That's
I
just
don't
one part of
I
the
don't know. I've
state.
heard zero rumblings of that in my.
Really?
And
I mean, this is from my experience. I mean, I played one outside. I think it was Shepherdsville, Kentucky. It's right outside the city. Guy belonged to a course. It was called South Park Country Club or golf course or whatever. It was
like the TV show.
like the TV show. Yeah, South Park. I thought it was unbelievable. It
Was
a
this
really
guy?
fun
Was this
track.
guy's name Kenny?
No, it wasn't.
Kenny. You played with Kenny.
Other four, no, it wasn't them. But no, that was a lot of fun. And then I forget the name of the other one, but I think it's an underrated area.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go play some spots there.
There
I
you-
mean,
yeah.
the ones that I'm looking forward to. I thought I had it dialed, like Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like I feel like I play most of these places, so I did like a top 10. In the past, like people just roasted me. They're just angry about any top 10. I'm just like, you forgot this place. You had to. I'm like, jeez. And they were like, I look them up, like, this place looks pretty good actually, and they had some good points. So I got to go back and like do a whole. And I was there, and it was like cold, in 1.0. So that's another reason I'm gonna hit up some. And that one's like, I look at my states. Like some states I have a lot of requests from, and others are not so much. So there's been a couple requests from Kentucky already, but like Ohio needs to be explored further.
Columbus, outside of Columbus. I mean,
Our
Jack's
our
home.
behind the scenes guy's got a little Ohio
he's
in
an
him,
Ohio
so
native
you might have to
over
ask
there.
him after the show. What's
There's a lot
what's
of-
the
there's a
spot
lot
to
of
be?
good spots in outside of Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I've heard that. So I've played a lot of good golf there already, but the Midwest is packed. So is the East Coast. I mean, I could live on Long Island if you.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I
I
think-
got a buddy of mine that
You talk about if you really wanted to jam in this whole thing on the West Coast. I think you could do it on the East Coast too.
just on Long Island.
I mean, in the upper, tri-state area
Yeah.
alone, I think you could just pack in this many
North
golf courses.
Jersey,
It's insane how much good golf is in
New
the
York
East Coast.
State,
Yeah,
Long
that's
Island.
the thing about that is it's like it's also all very private.
Yes.
Some exclusive.
It's
Yeah.
insane. Well, because I'm outside of Philly too, in Jersey, and you got like the main line, man. I mean, Merion's not too far from me. You got all those Philly
Pine
Cricket
Valley's-
Club,
I mean,
Pine Valley's right up the road from
there's
me.
75 courses that we should name. If you want it, we want
It's
to
all
do
right
this
there.
list
It's
of justice.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about it too is that the generosity of some of these members to like just even invite me to their place. to play.
Absolutely.
As a kid, I mean, that freaks me out. I get super geeked anytime somebody says, "Hey, come play Quaker Ridge." I'm like, Oh yeah, I mean, these are courses that
No
like
brainer.
as a kid I was like, I will never play these types of places. And you kind of look at them and you hear about them, and you're just like, how would I ever play that? I will not never play that.
They seem otherworldly.
Yeah, like I grew up on a golf course that had no bunkers, and like it was a par 31. And looking back, it's nothing. But like I learned to love the game, and so I don't know how I got so lucky to get invites to these places. And so those people will me personally, I'll get a lot of. I love the golf courses so much, so that's kind of like my guilty. That's what I built my career around, is golf course photography. So I love exploring new spots, seeing new golf courses, seeing different types of architecture, different types of light, different types of land, and how it all comes together to like create this beautiful playground that we get to enjoy. You talk about it for like, this is a 4-hour show, right?
Absolutely, maybe even 5. I mean, you're getting into architecture, which is my background, and I'm about to geek out. I mean, it is golf is just so unique because every course has different nuances. If you start to play different, like Mike Strand's courses or Pete Dye courses, you start to see the similarities.
Yeah.
And then you get into really geeking out of like, oh, I love this touch from this architect, and I love this touch from that architect, and then you see it all put together across the country, right? And maybe even across the world as you get to travel to Finland and other places in the world, and you start to see how things are used to make golf difficult or challenge us. And it's like when you start to put all that together, and especially with you traveling so much and seeing all of the different nuances everywhere, not just in the East Coast or the Midwest, like, but to see it on a grand scheme, I can only imagine is just so exciting to kind of put it in the log and just know that like there's these nuances going on everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun thing. And when you start to see this many golf courses, you realize how many golf courses are similar and how many features are easy and often used. And then you start to see the other ones, the great ones that have something unique. And there's some that just have something unique and it's weird or whatever. And then you see the ones that are like have a truly unique feature in a specific landscape that's like it's like genius, or like it's just like whoa, really cool. And those don't happen many places. They tend to happen at private clubs, and a lot of the golden age architects kind of, I often say like, how am I, like, if these guys were all still alive today, would everybody still be, giving them all this praise? And I think a little bit has to do with, I mean, the mystique and aura of like a golf course matters. Yeah. It's the reason why people want to play TPC Scottsdale, because it's like there's this, the waste management, this party thing. It's like, so it's probably a bad example, but that's part of like why it's special. Even though a lot of golf architect nerds would scoff at that, because that when they take that stadium down, like that par 3 is one of the plainest, most average.
So mundane. Yeah.
It's like, you would play it and you would have had no idea. There's 400 par 3s like that in Arizona.
And the stands are really only up maybe like 3 weeks within the tournament or whatnot.
No, they started building like I think a couple months.
So,
it's like a stadium now.
So that they could house like stadium. A college football game in there as big as that stadium's getting. It's absurd.
I don't know. So from my perspective, I don't know why they don't just build the stadium and
just leave it there.
I agree.
Been saying that for
like a
now.
permanent structure.
Just leave
host concerts there all year long. Like make it a thing.
Because again, that's going to be your selling
have a concert
point.
in like the green. I don't know. Maybe
they're having a concert there this year. I don't know how they do it.
Inside the 16th?
Yeah.
Oh, they set up a stage.
They build like a stage in between the tee box and the green, I think, this year.
Yeah. But I don't know if you do that as but it would be cool for the Joe Blows to come and hit that shot. And I don't know, there's
the
gotta
speakers
be a way
pumping or something like that,
there's
right?
Gotta be a way to do that.
Yeah.
And the cost to build that thing every year is probably significant. So
yeah.
Maybe they like
maybe
the
you're
idea.
onto something.
Maybe they like the idea of like making it bigger.
Architect design it. How about that?
It's a wild idea. It's definitely not.
Let me get back to you on that. All right.
Get the computer out, get the software out, and get back to work.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
What do you think CB McDonald would think of something like that? Would he be like, I'll go get the ladder, guys, and the hammer?
Absolutely.
And he'd be in on it. I don't know. It's like, because those guys existed in a different world, but they were
it's just
also,
like that'd be so foreign into them.
Yeah, but they were forward thinkers at the time. Like the stuff they did was bold and daring. It's still great and grand, but like they would have obviously changed. I mean, McKinsey had it's a living, breathing thing, and it must be evolved to fit the the changes of the landscape, and so he understood that.
Yeah.
But the changing of time and like all these things, like I think that they would probably be for a lot of things, and it would just be so interesting to have what's their opinion on this, because we don't know a lot about them.
I think about that a lot, of like just in general of the like how we see the Masters today, right? And like what would Alistair McKenzie think of the extensions of everything, right? Like the pushing back of tee boxes and how they play the course so like firm and insanely fast. And what did he want that to go that way, or is it just how we've modernly interpreted it?
Well,
you know,
I think he's got his 14 principles that I was doing a photo shoot. Yeah, it was a photo shoot at Green Hills Country Club, which is this great little Alistair McKenzie design right by San Francisco Airport that nobody's heard of, but it's pretty rad. It's smaller, so it doesn't get the accolades that some do. But on there they have I think it's 14 principles of golf design, and I hadn't read them in a while, but they're great. They're timeless. I mean, they really are. And so a lot of those, you read those, and you're like, oh, courses don't do this. Like the greens and the tee boxes need to be close to one another is one of them. And they're like, nah, screw that. Let's just ignore that.
Here's a 3/4 mile hike and a ride across 4 different housing developments to get from 14 tee box to 14 green to 15 tee or something like that. There's a lot of that in modern architecture.
Yeah. So McKenzie would be pissed at some of those things. Would just like they violate like clearly his beliefs, and so I don't think he would give those courses much regard, because they. So let's look through those again, and some of them are pretty good. And the good courses that are being built today hammer those.
That's interesting.
They hit home runs right on those tenets.
I love it.
So it's good to see that the people that are building the golf courses of today are kind of honoring those principles of the past that have stood the test of time.
It's really funny. We just had Christine Fraser on the show, who's a golf course architect out of Canada, and she was really touching on a lot of those aspects you just mentioned, kind of like modifying the golf course to the original roots and using the land that like we were given instead of just moving thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of dirt to get the design that you want, right? How do we make what we're given to be challenging? And it was exciting talk of just like we're almost seeing modern architecture, 2023 on, moving back towards like its roots, which I think is a really unique movement, and I think we see it a lot in Bandon. I think we see Bandon succeeding because of that.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting to see where golf goes in the next like decade or two, based on hopefully architects moving back towards that.
Yeah, it's in a good space. I mean, I think we lost our way a bit in the 80s and 90s, getting carried away with just the capitalization of the whole thing.
Sure.
With the housing, the real estate plays. There's a lot of golf courses out there that are. They're real estate developments.
Yeah.
Definitely. But they're still a golf course, and they're still fun to play.
There you go, and it still counts towards the record.
It still counts towards the record. I'll play a lot of them. I don't discriminate. I love all sorts of golf. All golf courses. Some I love of more than others, though.
Well, the Love of Golf shows, obviously, what you're doing with RGV Tour is exciting for all of us golf fans, and obviously we saw it tonight. Everyone who loves golf at the Palm Springs Amateur was quick to support in the movement that you've got going on this year. So, again, where can folks find you? Where can they support, and how can they get in touch with you if they want to have you check out their golf course this year?
Yeah. So it's pjkoenig.com. That's my website. It's my Instagram as well. The application is Golf Gamebook. You can download that in the App Store and follow along there. And those are the spots where we're putting all the hot stuff. I guarantee it'll be an interesting ride this year. There's going to be no lack of effort on my part and no lack of passion on the people that join this tour. And if you're involved in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to love you forever for it. So this is like you guys having me on here. This is great. This is the first podcast. I'll remember this till the day I die.
We love it.
Awesome.
We love it. Now we appreciate the time. It's exciting to just be able to cross paths, right?
Yeah,
and just have the conversation. I think that's the joy of all of this, especially from our end, and why we do it is just to hear the stories of people pushing limits within the golf industry, and you're doing that. So guys, go check out Patrick's movement here with RGV Tour 2.0, and go to www.wonderfulwalksingolf.com to check out the YouTube video of this podcast, as well as the latest podcast releases and blog releases from us. Until next time, get out there, carry your clubs, and enjoy the walk.